Good morning, good afternoon, I guess, to all of you. Namaskaram. It's wonderful to be in Karnataka, and we are, as you know, at the early stages of a very important election campaign, with the elections due in about a month's time. A lot of us have been gearing up to try and get the message of the Congress Party across to the voters of the state. I have yesterday addressed a large gathering of first-time voters. I was both interested and concerned to see how the youth of the state are facing the elections, what their concerns are about the accountability of politicians once the election is over, right down to some concern about whether taxpayers' money is being well spent for the services that the state government should be providing, and they certainly seem to have doubts about that. All of this was very interesting. This morning, I had a meeting with a whole collection of teachers, and the teachers' own concerns about the new education policy and the way in which education should be implemented in the state are also very important for us to hear. Today I'm with you. I'm going to carry on with some more campaign events later. Abhishek Dutt, our AICC Secretary, has some plans for me today and tomorrow. I'm also campaigning for Krishna Baira Gowda, a good friend, and I campaigned for him 5 years ago as well, with good results. I'm looking forward to the same here. I would say that our message is very simple. We have seen, unfortunately, over 4 years now of rather bad governance in the state of Karnataka. And when there is bad governance and there is nothing to see, the people inevitably wonder what they need the government for. There are essential needs of the people that are not being met, and the Congress Party has already come out with a number of very specific pledges to fulfill those needs. Whether it is ensuring that unemployed graduates and unemployed diploma holders should get some support from the state so they can live with self-respect while they search for jobs, whether it is giving honor to the Grihalakshmis, the homemakers of our states, so that they can again have some compensation for their unpaid labor to keep our society strong and together, whether it is pledging to improve the infrastructure of Bangalore, which used to be the pride of Karnataka and of India, but which is now becoming an embarrassment, with, as you know, the World Global Livability Index, which used to rank Bangalore as the most livable city in India, now ranks it as the least livable city of all the cities in the world that they rank. Similarly, the TomTom Traffic Index says that we are the most congested city in Bangalore of all the cities. And Janagraha says that urban governance is worst in Bangalore. So you're looking at objective, non-political indices, and they're all showing a lack of seriousness when it comes to urban governance. So whether it's state-level governance, whether it's urban-level governance, we feel that there are serious deficiencies that a Congress government is ready and prepared to tackle. I think the people in the state are tired of 40% commission. What they want is 100% commitment, and that's what we will give. 100% commitment to the well-being of the people of Karnataka. And I, with those words, will stop and take your questions. I think my colleagues here are very well acquainted with the problems and issues of the state, and I'm sure that they will be here in a position to answer any additional issues as well. But I'm here to take your questions. Floor is yours. Listen, Mr. Kharge is my very respected party president, and I think now that he has been in the saddle as presiding over the party, we are all giving him our full support. The Congress Party has a tradition of not discussing CM candidates till after an election is over. And that is a healthy practice, because at the moment we want everyone, leaders, fresh entrants, to focus on winning the elections first. And once the elections are won, I'm sure that we can have more time to discuss various options.
How do you see the KMF Amul issue? How do you see the KMF Amul issue in Karnataka?
The what issue, sorry? Oh, the Amul issue, yeah.
We have a local brand, Nandini.
That's right. We all want to protect the Nandini brand, which has been built up with such care. But I think a buy media has to be found. And certainly one of the good things we should have is Nandini should also be exported to more states. If we start getting too protectionist, we may not be helping. We may not be helping our national economy. But at the same time, I understand the concerns of those who are working in Karnataka, who are, after all, contributing to the success and quality of the Nandini brand. And we have to take their needs into account as well. But I think that this is a matter which the government seems to be squirming about instead of having a clear vision. Let them find a way forward.
Yeah. If I may jump in, my late uncle M.V. Krishnappa set up Bangalore Dairy and the Karnataka Milk Federation. Karnataka has seen under the BJP the loss of multiple local brands. The State Bank of Mysore doesn't exist anymore. Vijaya Bank, Syndicate Bank, all of these have been merged with Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank. All sorts of things are happening. Mr. Amit Shah has taken over as Minister for Cooperation, and in the process he is busy taking over and manipulating the cooperative sector, and we are very worried that Nandini and the KMF organization is under threat. Well, every one of us in Karnataka, in the Karnataka Congress, while we respect competition and markets, we will do our utmost to ensure that Nandini continues to prevail, continues to dominate, and that we will not let Amul come and take over and sweep us under the carpet in Karnataka.
There's a robust answer for you. Yeah.
How do you see in Karnataka, it is possible that the Congress is getting a lot of people from the BJP?
Yes, I've been seeing the numbers.
Across the country, there seems to be this perception that is being built, that the BJP is welcoming many leaders from the Congress, including somebody like Nari Lansky, who looks up to you as a mentor. How do you believe that that perception is denting the Congress's campaign?
Well, if you look at the Karnataka situation, I see 5 MLAs, 2 MLCs, 11 former MLAs, 4 former MLCs, and 1 former MP have all joined the Congress literally in the last few months and weeks. So it does suggest that people from other parties are seeing the Congress as the inevitable victorious party in Karnataka. I must say that I'm disappointed with a couple of the people you mentioned joining the BJP for the simple reason that I know them to be secular-minded individuals, and I don't think they will find a welcoming home in a party that is fundamentally committed, unfortunately, to a particularly communal agenda. And therefore, I think they've made a mistake. I'm therefore disappointed. I'm not hesitating to conceal that. There may be dissatisfactions, often related to individual feelings of frustration or of aspirations thwarted. I think every individual has a right to pursue their own political dreams, and I have no problem with that. But I do have a problem when people go to an ideology that is the opposite of what they have always practiced and what they've always believed in. You know, I'm not saying that no one has a right to leave a party, to change their mind. As I said, we have welcomed many in Karnataka recently. They have the right to change their mind, but there must be some principles. I've always said, what is politics about? Politics is about a vision of a better society. We are working for our idea of a better India, and that means we have certain principles, certain values that we stand by. Now, we can take our commitments to another party that shares the same values and principles. But how can we go to a party that has the opposite set of values and principles? That I find difficult to understand, and that's where my disappointment with some of the people you mentioned, who have gone to the dark side, as one might say, is I think they will sadly have to repent their choices as they see how they are treated in their new home. They will not be treated as they are perhaps expecting to be.
Does it impact your campaign in Karnataka? Do you believe it does?
So I think in Karnataka, every indication we are getting is that people are looking with great hope and optimism towards the Congress. I've only been here 2 days and talked to voters, but there's quite a cross-section of people, from people at a place like the Bangalore Club to the first-time voters I met yesterday, to the teachers, very often from rather modest schools that I spoke to this morning, I get the sentiment. Is there a crisis going on here? I get the sentiment that people are interested very much in seeing the Congress offer a respectable alternative to the misgovernance that they've endured in the last 4 years. And I think people in Bangalore particularly see that their city has such great potential. It's so sad that a city that was very evidently the most favoured destination for IT investment, for example, till a few years ago, certainly 2017, 2018, investment kept on going up. Now it's been plummeting in the last 3-4 years. And investments are coming, but they're going to other cities. Why is that? It's again a reflection of urban governance or misgovernance by those who are in power in this state. So I will say to all of you that the need for change could not be more palpable. And I think cutting across a cross-section of society, we are expecting to see a very good result in this election.
Sir, what's your prediction? Because Pawar said Karnataka is very hopeful state for Congress party.
Yeah. I think Karnataka is a very hopeful state. I think personally, it's not my job to come up with numbers. I know one or two of my senior colleagues here have mentioned numbers. I think you can quote their numbers. For me, what is important is that we get across the majority mark. Because sadly, we have seen in the past that the BJP, with their rather disgraceful Operation Kamala and their Operation Lotus in other states, have subverted the popular mandate. And that should not be allowed to happen again. So my request to the people of Karnataka is, give us a clear majority so that we can stop in advance the machinations of those who want to try and play that kind of game as they did last time. Yeah.
So the Congress party has released its second list recently,
Yeah.
and a section of the Muslim community is, quite upset with the Congress party because they say that the Congress party has used them and in the name of secularism hasn't given them adequate representation.
I think there's still some tickets to be issued, so let's wait and see how it all works out. My own view is that the Congress party sees itself as a natural home for Muslim politicians, Muslim voters, the same for Christians, the same for other minorities, because we don't discriminate amongst communities. What we are seeing, sadly, for the first time in the history of independent India, is a ruling party at the centre that doesn't have a single Muslim MLA, a single Muslim MP anywhere in the country, and neither House of Parliament. That is an unprecedented and somewhat shame-making record. Because, we've always been proud of the fact that whoever ruled this country, the diversity of this country was sought to be represented in the government. That is sadly no longer the case. We have today a government without anybody in the ruling party from that community. By contrast, if you look at the representation of minorities in the Congress list, we may have a modest number of MPs, but everyone is represented. And that's the spirit in which we intend to approach the challenges in Karnataka and in other states.
Sir, how can Congress party can capitalize on Rahul Gandhi's disqualification issue since he's attending
Well, there's a lot of public sympathy about this, and many people feel this disqualification was completely unfair, that to give him the maximum permissible sentence for a rather trivial offence, and then to ensure that sentence is the minimum required for disqualification. And then the disqualification, as you know, under the Supreme Court ruling, is 2 years plus a further 6. That would be very unjust. I've often asked a number of voters who are not Congress voters, I've said, put aside whether you want to vote for Congress or not, put aside whether you like Rahul Gandhi or not. In any democracy, do you want a situation where the principal leader of the major opposition party is silenced for 8 years, who is not able to raise his voice in Parliament for 8 years, is going to be imprisoned for 2? Is that good for democracy, just objectively? And I must say, even some BJP voters have said to me, it's not fair, it's bad for democracy. So the public sympathy is widely there. And, we have conducted protests in every district of the country when that decision came out. We are appealing, and we are hoping that the judicial process will correct it. So, if not, definitely this is going to be made an issue, because it is being seen by many in the public as an unfair attempt to silence a voice of the opposition, a major voice of the opposition.
Vote back even in Karnataka elections.
I think even in the Karnataka election, this issue is a live one. Look, we understand that in a state election, there will be state issues first and foremost. And we are going to raise the state issues first and foremost. But some national issues are bound to come up because Karnataka is a politically aware state, especially in the urban areas. There is a lot of consciousness of national issues, whether it's issues of crony capitalism that Rahul Gandhi has been raising, whether it is Rahul Gandhi's own disqualification, whether it is issues of national security, including what the Chinese are doing at our borders. As you know, a few soldiers from Karnataka are serving in dangerous conditions along the border with China, so every Kannadiga is also concerned about national security. All of these issues cannot be excluded, but our focus now is on Karnataka. And though we will mention other issues, right now we are trying to give Karnataka a better government and a more effective government to solve the problems of the people of the state. Little louder. Well, that's exactly the kind of question I'm in no position to answer. I think we'll have to wait and see what the decision is from the party. A decision has to be made, but it will be made after due consultations. You want it very quickly, but we have to wait and see when the party can do it for you. Yes, I gather he's going for the Tiger project, right? Well, I'm glad that he's preserving tigers. We'd like him to preserve the well-being of Kannadigas also. But we are all in favor of pride tigers, so no negative words on that. You know, everyone knows that Project Tiger was initiated by Indira Gandhi. There was no tiger conservation in this country before Indira Gandhi brought in Project Tiger, and a lot of the achievements in preserving the tigers, increasing their number in this country and so on, were kept by the Congress government but continued by every other government. So I don't want to make politics over animals. I would say that, we criticize the Prime Minister for lots of things, but we definitely have very good grounds to criticize his party in this state for what they have failed to do for the people of Karnataka, and I'll keep the focus on that.
So, if you get a mandate, do you expect a clash between D.K. Shivakumar and Siddaramaiah?
Look, I think both of them have spoken very clearly about the fact that they are united in fighting this election. The truth is that, it is entirely normal in any party's politics for individuals to have exceptional personal qualities, professional abilities, and political aspirations. So let's not be surprised that these things exist. But at the end of the day, whenever Congress has won an election, Congress has formed a government, one person has become chief minister, and the world has moved on. And I can tell you that at some point, this will happen here also. Let us now focus on the fact that a united party is fighting in the election unitedly. And we are all here to support a very strong Congress performance. You will find everyone coming. You will certainly see Rahul Gandhi coming. You will see leaders from across our country from the Congress party coming to show their support here, because we really believe very passionately that this is a winnable election, and what is more, it's in the interest of the people of Karnataka that this misgovernance be ended.
Mr. Tharoor, in view of 2024 election, how is Congress going to take on both the opposition parties? We have seen many opposition parties just favoring the Congress, but Mamata Banerjee, KCR, Jagan Reddy, how are you going to take them on board?
Look, it's very clear that one of the interesting sidelights, side benefits of the BJP's overreach or the government's gloating over Rahul Gandhi's disqualification is that they have provoked a remarkable degree of opposition unity. We have seen half a dozen chief ministers in states where they are opposed to the Congress party, where Congress party is seen by their parties as a rival in their state. We have seen half a dozen chief ministers openly supporting Congress and Rahul Gandhi on this issue. Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party. Akhilesh Yadav, Samajwadi in UP. Mamata Banerjee in Bengal. Pinarayi Vijayan in Kerala. KCR in Telangana. All of them have officially come out and said on this issue we're with the Congress. In fact, the CPM went so far as to say in Kerala, we're not supporting Rahul Gandhi or the Congress, we're supporting democracy. And I said, that's fine, because we are also fighting for democracy. It's the rights of Democrats that we want to preserve. But in the process, if the BJP creates a more propitious ground, a more favorable ground for us to explore stronger opposition unity, that is a good thing. You may have seen Mr. Kharge telephoned a few opposition leaders just 2 days ago to say, let's talk about opposition unity. I think his calls are going to continue to other opposition leaders. And I think, very frankly, everyone understands the logic of opposition unity. If we are able to find agreement on common minimum program and principles, why should we not have a system where we don't divide the votes? The BJP won 2014 with 31%. They won 2019 with 37%. That means in both elections, a majority voted for other parties. But if you look at our parliament today, there are 36 parties in parliament. So the 63% who didn't vote for BJP voted for 35 other parties. Now, some of those 35 other parties, instead of dividing each other's vote, are able to come together in those constituencies where it's very clear that only one of them stands a chance of winning. Wouldn't that be healthy for our democracy? Wouldn't it be in the interests of the country if a formidable opposition was able to take on a formidable government ruling party? See, we in our democracy should not be surrendering an election without a fight. And I think dividing the opposition is going to be against the interests of the people of India.
How do you view Mr. Shashi Tharoor's defense of Adani, especially when Mr. Rahul Gandhi has been categorical in his...
I think that the fact is that every opposition party has their views on every issue. I would say that we would search for common ground on the maximum number of issues possible. Don't forget that Mr. Sharad Pawar's party has been with us in Parliament, in the decisions made in the Parliament coordination, in the march to Vijay Chowk that we all undertook when Parliament finally adjourned on the 6th of April. They were there marching with us to Vijay Chowk. So it's not as if they are breaking away from opposition unity. On one issue, they have a different view. Similarly, we've made it very clear that we don't always agree with Shiv Sena, and Shiv Sena has agreed with us that they don't always agree with us on some issues. But that doesn't mean we can't cooperate in a very strong and effective opposition alliance in Maharashtra. So my own view is a broad common minimum program was the formula that succeeded in UPA. And in the first term, even the communists who are opposed to us at that time in both Kerala and Bengal and Tripura, at that time, they supported the central government of the UPA from the outside, but they supported us. So if you can find the areas of common ground, support should be possible. But the areas of common ground have to be explored and agreed first.
But many opposition leaders are saying that Congress wants everyone around them. They don't want everyone to be equal. They want around them. Congress...
I think all this is subject to further discussion, further negotiation. The point is, when the conversations haven't happened, how can you come to conclusions?
On yesterday, BJP leaders are busy visiting missions, and P.M. Narendra Modi is going to visit Sacred Heart Cathedral in Delhi. And you must have read the interview of Cardinal March of challenging the New Union Express. So how do you respond to that?
Look, the BJP is clearly attempting an outreach to the Christian community, particularly in a state like Kerala, where there is a significant Christian minority, and they are quite likely to try similar things in Karnataka, where, of course, there is a smaller but still influential Christian minority as well. And we welcome any attempt to show that all Indians are equal and that all Indians are guaranteed rights in our constitution, irrespective of their religious identity, their caste, their language, their creed, etc. Having said that, we have to ask the BJP some honest questions. Are they the party that is, where the Prime Minister is visiting a cathedral and making a speech? Or are they the party that has condoned in silence, without a single word of criticism, attacks on numerous churches over Christmas in a multiple number of states? Are they the party that lent tacit support to an appeal by a Sangh Parivar outfit that all Christian Adivasi should be denied scheduled tribe status? Are they the party that has been complicit in denouncing Christian missionaries and priests, and that has actually burst into Christian services and dragged the pastors out to be taken to prison and to police stations? They have to explain who they are. It's very easy for a Prime Minister to make a speech. Our Prime Minister particularly likes making speeches. But his own Man Ki Baat may not be enough in this case. I think we need the Christian Jan Ki Baat here. They also need to know how their daily life and their priorities are being treated.
Sir, Anthony is a right from BJP.
I'm sorry?
What's your comment? Anthony's son. Anthony.
Yes.
BJP.
Yeah.
What's your comment on this?
I've already answered that question earlier. I'm deeply disappointed. I think that secular individuals will not find a welcome home in the BJP. I've already said that. Okay?
Sir, how about Tharoor running for PM post in 2020?
I think we already have a party president. We have party leaders. There's no shortage of aspirants from various other parties as well. I don't think that that's a question. Right now, our objective ought to be let's create a CM in Karnataka and worry about PMs later. Thank you all very much. Jai Hind.
AIP speaker.
Yeah, I think the media will excuse us, the Professional Congress people.